Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gaming Daddy channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we're going to be looking at Avatar Frontiers of Pandora and the technical showcase that the developers have pretty much pushed ahead with. Now this technical showcase pretty much signals that the game is in a position where they can start talking more and more about it. They did the Ubisoft Forward reveal, and now they're talking about more technical aspects of the game. They're talking about a lot of the different strategies and the different technical directions that they've taken. They've showcased some of their developers talking about the game. This is a big deal. This is not something that a game studio like Ubisoft will just do out of the ordinary. This is a studio that doesn't say anything. This is a studio that doesn't mention what they're going to do as much as they possibly can. So when they do something like this, then you know that they have something tangible ahead of them. Not saying the game is finished, not saying that we should expect the game in the beginning of 2022. No, I'm just saying they have a very strong confidence in moving forward. Contrast to that, the game Gotham Knights only got one reveal at the Warner Brothers event. I can't even remember the name, last August, and since then we haven't seen anything except pictures and vague tweets and all the others. So you can tell the difference between who actually has much more confidence than who doesn't, or maybe they're just maybe they're fronting or something like that. But nonetheless, this is where we're going to look into the technical aspects of what I see from the game. I was watching a video from one of our fellow content creators here in the Division community, Daddy Fuye, and we've been talking about this particular game and Massive's other game, the Division 2. So how our community perceives this game is going to be very different from the way the rest of the internet does perceive the game. And one thing about me is I enjoy the way that I actually discuss about these games. I get some comments from time to time that say, oh, you're a shield or whatever it is. And the truth is, I really just take these things at, a very superficial value. I don't invest anything emotionally in them. And so I can actually comment as I please on those. And I appreciate you guys for actually taking the time to watch our videos. And at the end of the day, I say that is the benefit that you get, where we go ahead and we explore and buy these games so that you guys can make informed decisions. If we tell you to steer clear, you can probably take that and weigh into your decision. If we say it's good, you can also weigh that into your decision. So I'm not telling you to buy Avatar. If anything, I always make videos about almost every game that I cover, telling people to do whatever the heck they want with their money. That's why I'm free to say whatever it is I want to say regarding these issues. So what's the big deal about this technical showcase? First of all, technical showcase is, talking about the Snowdrop engine, showing some of its prowesses, probably giving us a little bit of footage. All of this footage that you're seeing is more than likely inside of the game engine. That's one thing a lot of, game engines are capable of. They're capable of doing some really good visuals. The problem that many people have had is when the game finally releases, they don't usually get that. And the truth is, you're not going to get, things of the highest quality. You are going to get 60 frames per second if they optimize it well, because it's coming out on the next gen and PCs. But again, you have to consider that they have to standardize this game for every possible machine that's going to play it. So multiple 100,000 GPUs, multiple thousand RAM configurations and CPUs and all of the above. So that optimization process will allow for them to pick a standard build that can run on those platforms. And then even for the consoles, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X and S will also have some dabbling that has to go into it to get the game stabilized and standard. Now here's the thing that I believe strongly about the Snowdrop engine. I've never seen this engine, or have I ever used it. Now you may say, but what would you want to do with the game engine? Well, Unreal Engine 4 and Unreal Engine 5 are available for anybody who wants to check it out. Unreal Engine 5 is actually out in early access, and then there's also Unity. So these are game engines that you can actually download and kind of dabble with if you're interested. There's also the Cry engine as well. You can actually dabble with it and mess with it. Now, when you want to make a game with it, there are agreements that you have to sign to if you want to do that. So you think about the availability of game engines out there, it's really now exposing more and more the knowledge that we have about what it takes to put a game like this together. And so when the development team comes out and starts to say, hey, we're trying to explore these different aspects, and then they also tout that, we're not only going to be exploring the world of Pandora, we're going to be going for aerial exploration, potentially aerial combat. They didn't mention aerial combat here, but from the trailer, you're seeing aerial combat, and they want to do this all in first person. I have some concerns because, like many people who've played, a game from Massive Studio, the game that we have as a frame of reference is a third-person game. So this is a concern that a lot of people have within the community, who have said, it will be nice for us to be able to know if this engine has, or if this team has been able to be successful with the first person game. And to that I say, well, I think we're only maybe halfway down the road on that kind of assurance. If anything, I think that is a genuine concern. Now, in one of the showcases that Ubisoft Massive did, if you go on their YouTube channel, they have a lot of these little mini showcases that they do, and they've done some of them in the past. They've done some for the Division 2, and one of their videos mentioned their engine being able and capable of making a first-person and a third-person game. I think ideally a game engine can do that. The difference between a first person and third person game mostly is, number one, the camera. If you're able to kind of work the camera and position it and do it very well, it shouldn't give you much of an issues. Now, from a gameplay perspective, the animations and all of what you have to do are kind of, secondary. So like a third person character right now, this character that you're seeing on the screen in the Division, the camera is right behind him. For a first person camera, the camera will be somewhere close to where the face would be, so that you can see the hands and the weapons, and maybe sometimes even see shadows around you or whatever it is. So these are some of the technical differences, around these games. And I said, that one of the big issues about, why people may be concerned is because they haven't seen Massive do a first person game. So this is quite concerning. And again, like I said, the Snowdrop engine is something that we haven't necessarily seen. And so being able to look at all these other engines and go, well, why, we don't really know what to say, because the Snowdrop engine, we know it has some of its own issues, like many other engines. Now, does this mean that Snowdrop is not a good engine? The answer is no. But does this mean that Snowdrop is a great engine? The answer is also not really. Depends on the game that you make, because even games like Batman Arkham, or games like Outriders, these games are made on the Unreal Engine platform. Now, Arkham was made on Unreal Engine 3. Arkham Knight was done with Unreal Engine 3, and then Outriders on Unreal Engine 4. For those of you who played Outriders, you know that that game did have a lot of issues with it. Now, was that the engine's fault or the developer's fault? I think it's very tough to say, but I think the developers, probably because of the way Unreal Engine is, it's very complex to use. So they tried their best to do whatever it is that they could do. But again, you look at a game like Fortnite enjoys the benefit of having the in-house development team that own the engine actually work on it. So Fortnite does provide a better and smooth experience, as well as some other games that have been successful on the Unreal Engine. But then for other, studios that want to use the engine, sometimes they find themselves in a very tough spot to deliver a smooth gameplay experience. So these are some of the things that you have to say, okay, perhaps the in-house, Snowdrop engine and all the support and all the knowledge and experience, that might play into what actually gives this game the fidelity that gamers might be looking for. The other thing too that we have to look at with this entire reveal is that many gamers now that are surfacing and commenting on these reveals and showcases are starting to show that they actually do have some interest on this, title. Now, why would that even matter? Well, if you look at the Division community, which is the community that's been playing Massive's last two, published games, a lot of people within this community are kind of divided about what they think about this game. But for the most part, what I've seen is most Division agents are kind of just keeping an eye out for this game. Some have said it's a deal breaker that it's a first-person game, so they're probably not going to touch it. But then what I've been seeing, especially from the release of the showcase, is that more and more people are starting to comment and show interest that they want to play this game and they're happy about this game, which is in stark contrast to the initial reactions that we saw at the Ubisoft Forward event. So what this means is it appears that there is a crowd and an audience for a game like this. Now, I can't say for sure that this crowd and audience is there because, an Avatar game is an exciting proposition. I think there are other factors that actually go into that. Some of the other factors will be kind of the need, this big, huge hunger for a plethora of next-gen, in quote, next-gen games. Now, when they use the word next-gen, I laugh because next-gen is basically what a gaming PC has been for years. And so you look at the specs of a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series S and X, I think you're going to say, okay, well, what we mean is consoles being able to kind of play video games at that standard. So yes, the standard has been better for consoles. But keep in mind that PCs are also within that same category. So when these games are optimized and when these games are done, what you're going to get is a game that looks just like a video game, but frame rates, performance, textures, colors, and all these things are going to be improved. Things like 4K resolution and all of the above are things that you're going to get now because the machines are capable of doing them. It doesn't mean that the characters are going to look like human beings. It doesn't mean like, you're going to be able to see, the hair on a fly's, it doesn't mean that. It just means we're getting better performance for the newer hardware that the technology has caught up with. Another thing that I did notice too in this technical showcase, and I'm going to show this to you guys here, and I want to just pretty much, point this out before we get any further or get too much ahead of ourselves, is the animation of some of the characters. I mean, that was really strange to have seen one of the characters in this game walk in a very rigid manner. Now, I get it. This particular, showcase doesn't mean anything. They have a whole year. They can smoothen out a lot of things, but this was a little interesting just to see the way this character was walking, down the road. I was like, whoa, 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 why does that animation feel kind of stiff compared to other things that we've seen? In my opinion, here it is. This is where the clip is. So watch this character move over here on the screen, left side of the screen. See the way they're walking? It's very, very rigid. For maybe it's because of the species of the Avatar things. I forget their name, but look at the way they're walking. It's kind of stiff. And so I would say, even though they're going the first person route, I think this is something that they might need to kind of double down on. The challenge that I think is, when they started this project, they were working on the Division 2 as well, kind of finishing the game while this game was in production. In fact, they announced this game before the Division 2. And so I strongly believe that potentially the animators were working on the Division 2, and so more than likely they haven't necessarily fine-tuned all the animations down and have it to where they want it, because I mean, the Division has its own animations that are already set in place. When your character is moving, when your character is in cover, when other characters are moving, they have everything done to the way that they feel they want it. So that one in Avatar kind of looked a little stiff. It will be really interesting to see characters around the world and the way they move, because if you're a first person, you're going to notice everything else that's not your character. So I believe strongly that this might be a thing that they want to pay attention to and make sure that every single detail is done right, because they were priding themselves and actually announcing how detail oriented they are. I hope they're able to meet up these requirements. But that's pretty much my video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Thank you so much for watching this clip. Talk to you guys in another video. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think this game is going to be okay? Do you think it's a game you're eventually going to be interested in? Or do you think it's a game that you're just going to look at for the longer haul and say, it's another Far Cry game set in Pandora? Talk to me. Peace out.